So, here we are. Map number 1 of a best of 3, the semi-final of Go for SC2 Monday. Two incredibly talented Protoss players battling it out against each other. Two player casters as well, might I add, both very talented at casting as well. And spawning down in the bottom right position, representing Team XMG, the blue Protoss player, it's ToD. His opponent to the top right, the green Protoss, representing himself, none other than Grubby. And I love his little decal here, his face. His face pulling a very funny face as well, which makes me very, very happy. And, well, in terms of what this game's going to do, it's going to decide who takes an early lead. A best of 3, map number 1, is really important. There isn't that much of a safety net if things go wrong for you here. You suddenly get all the pressure on, you want to be getting through to those finals, and you really want to be battling it out. The winner of this plays Snoot, for anyone who is wondering. That'll be coming up next on this stream as well after this series. And Snoot, he's battled his way through some really tough opponents actually, so it's going to be a great finals. For the moment, things looking pretty nice and safe. We've got, of course, gateways coming down for both players, gases coming down for both players. Normal stuff. The big decision though is how many probes come into each of these two assimilators. Are we going to be seeing just 4 probes, in which case we can usually decide that there's going to be quite a normal play, not anything too rushed, maybe just a safe expansion or something along those lines. If we see 6 probes in gas, that's when we say this is tech heavy, this is going to be a rush Stargate, a Twilight Council, something along those lines, very, very fast. For the moment, Grubby and ToD both opting to go for the 6 probe count. So this means they're both going to be looking to go quite tech heavy. It's a 4-player spawn map Frost, so therefore they don't know where each other are as of yet, neither player opting to have scouted early. You're relatively safe on a map like this just to be going for a late scout, because it's unlikely that your opponent will be going for something like a proxy 2 gate or any kind of massive cheese, because it's a large map and you don't know where your opponent is going to be spawning. Otherwise though, nothing really to tell as of yet, just the possibilities that could be coming out. We know with gases that they're likely to be going quite tech heavy, although interestingly, both of these two players are opting to go for the sentry. Another cool thing someone in my chat has actually pointed out, good little blast from the past here with ToD versus Grubby, because of course these two were both Warcraft 3 players and very good at that game as well. Mothership cores obviously help deny this scouting probe for Grubby. He's just trying to find out what kind of tech ToD is throwing down. He's going to know by how much gas is remaining, how much has been mined and things like that. These two are going to be very aware of little details like that. Meanwhile, once that probe's died, ToD hasn't even opted to scout yet. He's still playing very defensive and is actually going to be coming for an expansion. Spending most of his gas actually down into sentries and of course this Mothership core, so playing it very greedy, as is Grubby. Neither player actually opting for any of that early tech. We are seeing it being added in now with that Stargate for ToD and the Twilight Council for Grubby. This Twilight Council is in a very tough position to scout for Grubby as well, for ToD, because it's so far back, and with these sentries up, with the Mothership core, getting back into this position would be exceptionally difficult, and therefore I'm going to be very interested to see whether or not Grubby opts for the Dark Shrine. And up against the Stargate, unless of course it's an Oracle, a Dark Shrine can be a very good call, and you can catch your opponent off guard without detection. But for the moment, that's not what we're going to be seeing, at least until it's finished up. Dark Shrine is now being added on, so this is a nice little choice by Grubby. Because it's slightly later, it's not been a rushed out Dark Shrine or anything like that. It wasn't scouted early, the Twilight Council wasn't even seen. And ToD is going for Phoenix. This is going to be highly problematic for ToD if he doesn't add on either a robotics facility for observers or an Oracle for that detection. And by highly problematic, it's going to be hugely so. It's Grubby coming in now. He sees that there's a Stargate and a Phoenix coming out. This is a beautiful scout, but ToD, has he actually just scouted something? Yes, he did. He scouted in there, saw the Dark Shrine, instantly cancels up that Phoenix and starts up an Oracle. Now the reason it's quite cool, no, the Phoenix did actually come out, I take that back. But the Oracle coming down now means that he's going to have detection. And Grubby needs to identify that it's been scouted. I'm sure he will have done. I can't actually recall if it was a hallucinated Phoenix. Grubby, it must have been a hallucinated Phoenix because no resources lost. So hallucinated Phoenix came in there. ToD is now completely aware of what his opponent has been doing, and because it was a hallucinated Phoenix, Grubby should know that it's being scouted as well, and therefore I hope at least that he isn't going to overcommit to the DT production. 1 DT, 2 DTs maybe to try and harass would be okay. Anything more than that when you know your opponent has detection is exceptionally risky. Grubby sending in another hallucinated Phoenix now, going to be trying to take a little peek to see whether there's any detection. The Oracle has been seen, the 2 Dark Templar moving their way forward, but the second the Oracle has been scouted, backs away. So a cool little move here by Grubby, checking just before those DTs move in to see whether or not there's an Oracle, because if there's an Oracle there, 9 times out of 10 these 2 DTs would die and with no damage done. Whereas now they can back away. In worst case, they're going to become watchtower holders for the rest of the game, giving Grubby some great advantageous vision of the map. Best case, they might catch the odd unit out of guard, they might become an Archon in later life, and generally have quite a good time. I mean, DTs, if they haven't been killed, have a good retirement package. You can become this ball of energy, which I think is quite fun. It's better than walking around a garden centre all your life. But yeah, this is now a very passive game for a PvP actually, considering we're approaching the 9-minute mark, and all that's been killed so far are a few hallucinated Phoenix and 1 probe. This is unlike very many PvPs I've seen in a long time, and a lot of that is due to how diligent these 2 are being with their scouting patterns. The hallucinated Phoenix are being utilised incredibly effectively to get as much vision as they can around the map and really keep tabs on when and where their opponent is opting to spend their resources. Because in PvP, resource spend is very tough, especially the gases, because you don't want to be spending your gas anywhere too untoward when your opponent is countering that, such as with the DTs coming through for Grubby when your opponent's got detection with the Oracle. But the Oracle now actually being used a bit more aggressively, but again, Grubby with good use of hallucinated Phoenix is going to get the scout out on it, knows it's coming in, and should be ready to pick it off. High Templar are going to be able to feedback it actually, although actually it's already used all of its energy, so that won't be successful, but of course the feedback will neutralize any threat that it poses since it won't have any energy to attack. Grubby now adding in 5 more gateways. This is an awful lot. It could... What's he actually got in terms of upgrades? It's not about anything yet. It's about to have the +1 ground weapons. But, of course, ToD, he sees all of this. He moves in. Doesn't have any energy to really do anything. Takes a grand total of 25 energy to activate the attack on an Oracle alone. ToD, though, moving forward. He's got his first Colossus on its way out. He's already got the 1 Immortal. 1 Immortal sitting down on the field for Grubby. He's also got this DT. That Dark Templar still just chilling around there. ToD knows that it's being held by something because obviously it's lit up and that gives it away. Oracle waiting to come back in. The High Templar has moved out of position, so isn't going to be able to feed back should it move in. ToD also has scouted down that there is a 3rd in production. ToD looking to go and take his own 3rd, lifting that Zealot up that Grubby had positioned nicely to try and pick off anything there, and is going to be able to secure his own. Still insanely passive, 150 resources lost for Grubby compared to 0 of ToD, and we're already approaching the 12-minute mark. This is insane how passive they're being, but that's probably going to change fairly fast because Grubby has got a good number of gateways down. In grand total, he's sitting there with 8 gates up against the 7 of ToD, and he's now added in a Warp Prism. This opens up the possibility to go for some multi-pronged harass, go for some big warpins in the natural while pushing and pressuring the 3rd base with his main army. And that's something that really ToD doesn't have enough units to deal with as of yet. He's only got the 1 Colossus down, and Grubby is going to be able to warp in a lot of High Templar or Dark Templar to make Archons to really bolster this army with some big tanks and damage dealers that is going to be challenging for ToD to try and deal with such a small group, and he can't split this army effectively either because of the Colossi. They need the gateway support to be able to deal with him. The Warp Prism though for the moment isn't yet being utilised. Grubby just sitting back here. The Oracle though getting a few nice kills here, actually a lot of kills here for ToD, but Grubby, he's pushing in towards the 3rd base of his opponent. It is just about to finish up. Mass Recall coming down because this Oracle is wreaking havoc, but the Mass Recall went to the natural base, so this Oracle getting out with 10 worker kills, 11 kills in total, and that was a great little pick-off there for ToD. And that is absolutely huge because he's now still 1 worker behind, but he's literally leveled out the economy while still taking a bit of a tech lead. Having the Colossi out is a tech lead, just due to the range. He's got the 1-1 upgrades too. Grubby's going for the 2-0 upgrades and charge. But he's so behind on the Colossus tech. And Colossi, in PvP, if you get a decent advantage over your opponent, you will just wreck everything else they have because of the splash. It's just so substantial that you just start melting things. And so Grubby is left in this slightly awkward position where he's got to try and catch up. He's adding in more gateways, he's going to be able to get a huge number of Archons, but he can't allow ToD to just endlessly keep making Colossi. He's about to go up to 4. War Prism is in position though, going to look to try and come in for some drops. The single Photon Cannon is in position at this natural base. Zealot's getting dropped down straight on top of it though, can focus it down very quickly. Nice control there by Grubby, getting all around. The Colossi though, coming back, should be able to save this nice. Does open up the third base of ToD though, somewhat to the main ground army. And that's really where Grubby is attempting to bully and threaten and posture in an aggressive sense. But ToD is more than happy to sit back. He hasn't seen his opponent with any Colossi, even though 2 are now in production. And so he's sitting there going, well, do you know what? I've got a good army. I'm probably up in army supply because of the Colossi. And therefore, when I do decide to move out, which appears to be now, then actually I've got a really strong composition and you don't have the splash damage or the range to engage against me. I'll always get like 1, maybe 2 shots off with my Colossi before you're even able to touch me. Massive boost there. We've got +3 though coming down for Grubby. That means that his upgrades are looking pretty steady. They're still a fair way off, only 150 seconds of 220 down. But still forward comes this push. Nice little scout. Hallucinated Phoenix, even at 16.5 minutes in this game, still being utilized well. ToD with his own Archon, chasing down one of Grubby's. The Colossi count sitting at 2 to 4 in favor of ToD, and ToD is posturing very aggressively now. He's had most of the losses, or dealt most of the losses this game so far, and ToD just threatening up. There are 2 Immortals coming in for the flank behind. Nice little use of this Warp Prism. Positioning is everything at this stage. If those Colossi for ToD go down, it would be massive. Time Warp's being used. The Immortals at the back still threatening. We've got the 1 Dark Templar for Grubby as well, trying to get into a nice little spot to deal any damage that it can. Photon Overcharge has been triggered to deal with a single Zeta coming through. With the War Prism here, it means that the threat of a counter drop isn't going to be coming down, but since it's not in position, those Immortals aren't in the fight. Lots of damage being done here. A huge number of hallucinated Archons coming through, which actually tank up a surprising amount of damage despite taking double that of non-hallucinated units. The 2 Archons at the back getting taken down. ToD's supply sitting up at 144. His army supply though 80 to 33. Big lead now for the XMG player, and he's still got 3 Colossi up, and that's what he needs. These Colossi are so hard to deal with. A couple of Dark Templar getting warped in, but an Observer is in place for ToD, and GG well played is called. And there we see ToD take game number 1 of this best of 3.